Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of this bill. I'd like to hit some of the facts that are contained in it. The debt ceiling reduction of $50 million that would occur immediately, and then there'd be an additional $200 million over the course of the next fiscal year, for a total reduction of $250 million. The spending controls on new releases of certain projects that are financed by debt. This does not impact the governor's ability to authorize public improvement projects up to $350 million, or the RCAP limit at 125. As the prior speaker indicated, this is simply good, responsible debt management. It requires the Commonwealth to use equal annual maturities plan for the retirement of both the principal on the new debt as well as interest payments. This is something that we've passed before. We're not breaking new ground. And the combined effect of spending controls, responsible debt management, and the cost controls contained in this bill will reduce our general obligation debt from $12.54 billion to $7.27 billion over the next 20 years. That's a reduction of $5.27 billion. The general obligation annual debt service reduction will go from a high of $1.6 billion in 2026 to $1.1 billion in 2036. The total debt service savings over the next 20 years would be over $3 billion, $3.14 billion. Mr. Speaker, we've heard concerns about what we can do going forward should a catastrophe strike. The truth is we can pass additional legislation if the need arises. And we'll be there. We'll be responsible in our financial management. We'll do what is right for the Commonwealth. But as the prior speaker indicated, he referenced his children. That's something that I think about quite often. My kids, and what portion of this debt will they have to take on? I taught my oldest daughter at a very early age about borrowing money. One time, she came to me and said, "I need to borrow $5, Dad. There's something I want." And I said, that's nice. I said, but you only get $1 a week for your allowance. I'm willing to loan you that money if I get your allowance for the next 6 weeks. She was only 5. She quickly looks at me and goes, "But Dad, that's more than I'm borrowing." And I said, absolutely. She borrowed the money, and I'm not sure that the lesson actually set in until we were sitting at the kitchen table, and I put her allowance down in front of her, and perhaps some of you will think I was mean, but I said, "There's your allowance for the week. Now I'm taking it because that's what you promised. That's what you owe." And she says, "Well, you took the whole $1. What about the 10 cents that I'm going to give to church?" And I said, "Well, you're going to have to pull that out of your bank envelope." And she did. Mr. Speaker, she's never asked to borrow money again since that time. She understood the cost of borrowing. Mr. Speaker, borrowing without limits is like giving your kindergartner or your 5-year-old unfettered access to the credit card. That's simply not wise financial management. If needs arise, we will address them. But right now, our need is good fiscal stewardship for the Commonwealth, and I would urge the passage of this bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.